Are you lack of self-confidence? If a new manager lacks of self-confidence, he or she is more likely to avoid difficult and confrontation and may tend to over-control their subordinates, which is called micromanaging. A lack of self-confidence also leads to the less sharing of information and less time hiring and developing capable people. So, what is an organizational behavior? I'm Nakwitek Nasyabule Darmawan and my student ID number is 251101142 and I will explain about organizational behavior. Organizational behavior, or commonly called OB, is an interdisciplinary field dedicated to the study of human attitudes, behavior, and performances in organizations, economics, ethics, and vocational counseling, as well as the discipline of management. The concept and principles of organizational behavior are important to managers because in every organization, human beings ultimately make the decisions that control how the organization acquires or uses their resources. Those people may cooperate with, compete with, support, or undermine one another. Their beliefs and feelings about themselves, their co-workers, and their organization shape what they do and how well they do it. People can distract the organization from its strategy by engaging in a conflict and misunderstandings, or they can pool their diverse talents and perspectives to accomplish much more as a group than they could ever do as an individual. So, in short, organizational behavior is a study of how individual or a group tends to act in their organization.
Perception is the cognitive process people use to make sense out of the environment by selecting, organizing, and interpreting information from the environment. Thus, a perceptual selectivity is the process by which individuals subconsciously screen and select the various objects and stimuli that therefore edited. And perceptual distortion is an error in perceptual judgment that arises from inaccurate in any part of the perceptual process. Attribution or judgment about what causes a person's behavior. Factor that influence attribution is consistency, consensus, and distinctiveness.
The next, personality. An individual personality is the set of characteristics that underlie a relatively stable pattern of behavior. Personality traits. 1. Extroversion, which a person is outgoing, sociable, assertive, and comfortable with interpersonal relationships. 2. Agreeableness, which a person is able to get along with others by being good-natured, likable, cooperative, forgiving, understanding, and trusting. 3. Conscientious, which a person is focused on a few goals, thus behaving in ways that are responsible, dependable, persistent, and achievement-oriented. 4. Emotional stability, which a person is calm, enthusiastic, and self-confident rather than tense, depressed, moody, or insecure. And 5. Opens to experience, which a person has a broad range of interests and is imaginative, creative, artistically sensitive, and willing to consider new ideas. And next is emotional intelligence. Includes your basic components. 1. Self-awareness. The basis for all the other components is being aware of what you are feeling. 2. Self-management. The ability to control the destructive of harmful emotion and balance one's mood. And 3. Social awareness, the ability to understanding others and practice empathy, which means being able to put yourself in someone else, to recognize what others are feeling without them needing to tell you. And 4. Relationship management, the ability to connect to others, build positive relationships, respond to the emotion of others, and influence others. After that, we have the learning. Learning is a change in behavior that occurs as the result of experience. Individuals develop personal learning styles that vary in terms of how much they emphasize each stage of the learning cycle. Stress and stress stress management. Stress is an individual's psychological and emotional response to external stimuli that place physical or psychological demands on the individual and create uncertainty and lack of personal control when important outcomes are at stake. Among the most basic strategies are those that help people stay healthy, exercising regularly, getting plenty of rest.
Leadership is important for organizational success. A team or unit is only as good as its leader. Leadership occurs among people, involve influence, and aims to attain goal. Influence is a relationship, it's not passive, designed to achieve goals. Leadership is an ability to influence people toward goal achievement. Contemporary leadership. Leadership involves as organizational, face technology, economic, globalization, ethic, and social changes. Post-historic leadership is focused on humility, collaboration, and supporting others over personal glory. Level 5 leadership combines modesty and strong will, accept failures, credit success to others, and develop future leaders. Interactive leadership is based on relationship, inclusion, and teamwork. From management to leadership, management is stability, order, and problem solving. Leadership is vision, creativity, and change. Both are needed. Leadership traits. Traits is intelligence, honesty, confidence, and appearance. The great man view is trait makes leaders. It's not always true. Success depends on situation plus leaders-follower relation. Behavioral approaches. Leadership studies via behavior, not traits. Task-oriented is focused on goals and work direction. People-oriented is build trust and support teams. The key studies is Ohio, Michigan, and Texas. Ohio and Michigan studies. The Ohio one is consideration is people focused. The imitating structure is task focused. The best result is when both of them is high. Michigan, employee-centered, support and teamwork, job-centered, schedules and efficiency. There's cognitive theory, match leadership style with situation. Task-oriented is the best in very favorable and very unfavorable situation. Relationship-oriented is the best in moderate situation. Effectiveness depends on leader-member relation, task structures and position powers. Substitutes for leadership. Substitute is reduced needs for leaders.
And the next thing is there is charismatic and transformational leadership. For the charismatic leadership itself is a leadership that inspires, empowers, and creates strong emotional impact. And the impact itself, it can be negative or positive. And the second one is transformational leadership. It's a leadership that drives change, shares vision, motivates growth, and focuses on innovation and relationship versus rules and rewards. The effective one is critical, active, independent, and solution-oriented. And the next one is power and influence. Power is an ability to influence others' behavior, and the influence itself is an actual effect on others' attitudes and action. Position for power from role or authority, there is 6. Number 1 is legitimate. It's from formal position. The next one is reward, is ability to give rewards. Coercive is ability to punish. Personal power from individual traits. There is expert and reverent. Expert is based on knowledge or skills, and the reverent itself is based on respect and admiration. Other source of power. There is 3. Efforts, relationship, and information. The effort itself is from initiative, extra work and learning. From the relationship is wider work, network, or more influence. And the last one is information. It's access and control. It's more power. And the next one is influence tactics. There is 7 influence tactics. The first one is rational persuasion, it's facts and logic. The number 2 is likability, it's build trust and respect. Number 3 is reciprocity, is exchange favors. Number 4 is allies, build strong networks. Number 5 is direct request, is ask clearly. And the sixth one is higher authority, it's use position and credibility. And the last thing is number 7 is rewards, it's influence behavior. Leadership as services, servant relationship, and moral leadership. Servant leadership is focuses on serving others, sharing powers, and supporting employees' growth. And the moral leadership is acts ethically, choose right over wrong, build trust and integrity. So the conclusion for the chapter 13 and 14 is, for chapter 13 is, every organization, human beings ultimately make the decision that control how the organization acquires and use resources. Thus, people may cooperate with, compete with, support, or undermine one another. And conclusion for chapter 14 is, leadership drives vision, inspires people, and adapts to situation. Effective leadership balance power, influence, ethics, and collaboration to achieve shared goals.
Chapter 13 Evaluation. First, define attitudes and explain their relationship to personality, perception, and behavior. Second, discuss the importance of work-related attitudes. Third, identify major personality traits and describe how personality can influence workplace attitudes and behaviors. Fourth, define the 4 components of emotional intelligence and explain why they are important for today's manager. Fifth, explain how people learn in general and in terms of individual learning styles. 6. Discuss the effects of stress and identify ways individuals and organizations can manage stress to improve employee health, satisfaction, and productivity. Chapter 14 Evaluation. First, define leadership and explain its importance for organization. Second, describe how leadership is changing in today's organizations. Third, identify personal characteristics associated with effective leaders. Fourth, define task-oriented behavior and people-oriented behavior and explain how these categories are used to evaluate and adapt leadership style. Fifth, describe Hersey and Blanchard's situational theory and its application to subordinate participation. 6. Discuss how leadership fits the organizational situation and how organizational characteristics can substitute for leadership behaviors. 7. Describe transformational leadership and when it should be used. 8. Explain how followership is related to effective leadership. 9. Identify sources of leader power and the tactics leaders use to influence others. 10. Explain servant leadership and moral leadership and their importance in contemporary organizations.